I think, Michael, what has come up in all the conversations so far of a state or a government saying, as I said in the beginning, the subtext is that there are exceptional times which call for exceptional measures. And how to balance, and I mean, you would have experience from, of course, on jurisdictions and countries that you worked in on, is how to balance effective sort of policing or with the counterinsurgency or counterterrorism with a respect for fundamental freedoms and the theme of this conference, human dignity. And I think that's perhaps an international perspective on that, and of course your insight into the Pakistan situation. I'd very welcome that.
As I've told people who I've been with for the past 2 days, I've learned more about Pakistan and the legal system in this past 2 days than the entire 4 months I've been in country. So I definitely appreciate this get together because it's been an eye-opening experience for me. For those who don't know me, I am a federal prosecutor in the United States. I am the resident legal advisor for the U.S. Embassy here in country, and I have been a corruption prosecutor for the past 20 years. So my entire experience has been going after the watchers. So the people who watch us need to be watched, and that was my job, is to watch the watchers. And one of the goals here in country for the U.S. Embassy, and for me specifically, is to set up the capacity, both judicially and prosecution, about how to enforce the laws and make sure people don't violate our civil liberties, our right to life, and our human dignity. So I definitely appreciate the opportunity here to address all of you. One thing I've learned from the panel, and I think we echo this, is the rule of law is probably the most paramount thing we have in any civil society, the rule of law. And I equate that to, if you guys are familiar with the Brooklyn Bridge in New York, it's an enormous bridge, but the foundation of that bridge lies underneath 200 feet of water, and that's the foundation of that bridge. And without that foundation, you wouldn't have the Brooklyn Bridge connecting two boroughs. And so that foundation is the most quintessential importance of that bridge, and that's the rule of law. We don't see it. We can talk about it, but we don't see it. Only when it rears its ugly head, when things don't work the way it's supposed to, that we get concerned about it. And one thing that doesn't work here in Pakistan is there's not enough capacity for the courts and for the prosecution. And I see this every day, that the presumption is for arrest, the presumption is for incarceration, the presumption is not to have initial appearances, the presumption is to incarcerate somebody and then their case lingers for years and years and years. And that is a horrible way to run a judicial and legal system. I'm not here to point fingers at any one body or one group of people, but one of the things I'm tasked with here is to work with the courts and the provincial government is how do we institute the U.S. best practices. And one of the best practices in the U.S. is, are you guys familiar with the concept called initial appearances? And so when someone gets arrested, when someone disappears, the habeas petition is filed and they have to bring the body to court. They have to show why this person is arrested, why this person is detained. Without that, then the court steps in and sanctions and releases and has a menu of options for rectifying that situation. But if the courts don't have that ability here, or if they lack the ability to exercise that ability, it breaks down that foundation and the bridge starts to crumble. And then I met with plenty of prosecution offices who we point fingers at the government and we point fingers at people who don't enforce this law, but when you talk to these prosecutors who are ill-trained, no experience, they don't have the capacity, sometimes they don't have the infrastructure or an office, they don't have internet connection, they don't have the salaries or the capacity to even do some of these cases, and we expect them to handle burglaries and homicides, and on the same side we expect them to handle missing person cases, we expect them to handle extraditions, we expect them to handle terrorism cases, and that's just a heavy load for a prosecution office to handle. And so one of the things that I see here is one of the things I've been tasked with is what kind of solutions could be offered here for Pakistan to help ameliorate some of these issues. One is in the United States, the Department of Justice has a public integrity unit, and that public integrity unit is tasked with one job only, and that job is to go after the judges and the prosecutors who don't do their job or commit crime, to go after state officials, go after military officials, go after anyone who violates the law, and that public integrity unit is set aside, is apart from the other agencies, and it's funded and it's endorsed and supported by every single political group, every single political party, and it's definitely not politically biased. At least it's not supposed to be. And I know the U.S. sometimes has a checkered history when we talk about, but most of our disappearances and most of our arbitrary detention is outside the terrorism framework. Most of this is internal. Most of this is because people dissent against the government, and that carries the majority of the cases here in Pakistan. And but one of the things that it's important for us to keep in mind is if we don't give capacity buildings to the courts and to the prosecution, I don't think it's a failure of democracy. I don't. I think it's a failure of will and a failure of the courts and the prosecution to enforce the law that's on the books. And I've been familiar with the laws. I've been helping train. I've been case mentoring, and there's some pretty hard-hitting laws on the books already. It just lacks the capacity and the will and the want to do those.